Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. Another video, another victim. Today we're working on a champion generator. It's a 1500 peak, 1200 running watts. Customer asked me to have a look at it because he couldn't get it started. So he bought a brand new, put some gas in it, started it, tested it. It works fine. But he left some gas in it and left the fuel valve on, so the carburetor was full of gas for some time. I'm not sure how long it was. What he did was he put some fresh gas in it. Can't get it to start. So we're gonna go over it. Just this should be pretty straightforward. It's gonna be a plug carburetor or a bad or a stuck float or something like that. We're gonna have a look and see what we can do. It's an 80cc 4-stroke engine, overhead valve. This is not a, it's not a high-end generator. That's decent for the average little homeowner if you want to run a sump pump if you need to. They work pretty good for what they are. I mean, it's not a Generac. It's not designed to take the place of a large unit. It's not supposed to run your home, so we'll get into it and have a look. The fuel tank, there's a gauge on the top. It does read empty. If you can see it, yeah. It reads empty. I did pull the cap off and I checked to make sure there was gas in it. There was a tiny bit. I added a little bit more. Should be enough to get it to run anyways. I don't want to fill it up. Don't need to. So get you in the stand and we'll do a little diagnostics here and see what we can figure out. So I'm going to be working on the float bowl. What we're going to do is there's a, I'll zoom right in on it here so you can see it. Focus. There we go. So right here, this is a drain. If you loosen this screw off, there's a little hole under here that'll drain the float bowl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the gas valve on. I'm going to have this vent opened and see if there's any fuel coming out of the carburetor. That'll tell me if if that's actually flowing. Back you up a little bit so you can see. Should be good. Alright, so we're not going to let much out, so I'm just going to put a rag there, let it soak up any spilled fuel. Fuel valve is off right now. I'm going to open that drain. I got nothing coming out of it. At this point I should be able to just turn the fuel tap on and fuel should flow through the line, fill the bowl, or try to fill the bowl, and we should see something coming out of that bowl, out of the drain. Not seeing anything yet. Should see a trickle, should see something. Nothing. Little tap maybe. There we go, look at that. Now it starts to drip. So what happened was the float was stuck up. When your fuel bowl is full, the float is at the top and it closes the needle inside there and it prevents the fuel from any more fuel coming into the carb. So if it's all the way to the top and it sits there for a while, the gum and varnish and garbage that we get in our fuel when it sits, it'll stick that float up, or the needle could be a little sticky in the seat, and that's all it took. I bet you this thing would start right now. That's what I'm going to try. I'm going to drain a little bit more out, make sure that it's got the fuel line is flushed out, because it looked a little yellow when it first started. That's a nice trickle. We'll just snug that up, get this out of the way. I'll see if it'll fire up. Because it was gummed up, I think what I'll end up doing is get the little light there. Oh, that's a little better. Because it was gummed up, I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'll pull the bowl off, make sure that it's cleaned out and nice and tidy. Fuel's on, choke is on. We know the carb's got fuel in it. Engine switch is on. Let's see. running okay. Plug the light in, it is making power. What I did was I shut the fuel valve off. I'm just going to let it run a little bit and let it drain its own bowl. Just a little, not too much longer. I'll pull the carb apart and we'll have a look in there. I shut it off. Don't need to fill the shop full of fumes. So, that was easy. I need an easy button. I think I have one in the house. I'll have to bring it out for future videos. I'll just set it there and push the button. It says that was easy. I'm going to drain the bowl. I don't want to get it too hot and fill the garage up with fumes. We'll drain that out. There shouldn't be too much in there. I'll pull the bottom off, make sure nothing's sticky in there. And I think, well, it does have a gauge on the other side. It does tell me it's making 110 volts. But I think what I'm going to do is I'll stick my meter in that socket, and I'll make sure it's got 60 hertz. I don't have a tack to set the engine speed. It does have a maximum engine speed of 3,600 RPM. And at 3,600, it should be making 60 hertz coming out of the outlet. It's important to have your hertz, to have the frequency accurate. You won't damage whatever you plug into it like that. So that's that. Bowl is empty. I'll just crack that off of there. 10 millimeter screw. I did check the oil before I tried anything. This engine does have a low oil shutoff. Sometimes they can actually fail, and even if when there is oil in there, it can prevent things from running properly. So I'm just gonna, sometimes there's a difference inside the bowl, there's a little bump inside there. I'm just gonna make sure that I line up this little mark with the screw, the drain screw, when I put it back together. Well, there's a little bit of crud in there. No water, that's good. Try not to disturb that gasket. I'll bring it over to get a close up. You see in there? Get a light on. A little bit of crud in there. We're going to give that a wipe. Clean her out a little bit. Gently move the gasket off. A lot of times we'll get buildup of garbage in the bottom of the bowls. There's ethanol in most of the fuel around here. There are some places that you can get non-ethanol fuel. That's all I use in my small engine stuff. Shell here has it in Canada. Some of them, not all of them. But I use all my small engine stuff gets 91 octane, 0 ethanol fuel. Give that a little bit of a spray with brake cleaner out. There we go. Clean as a whistle. Just gonna pop my head underneath there. Looks pretty clean inside there. It did run, it ran well. So I'm not too concerned about jets being clogged and everything. I think all it was is the float was stuck up at the top, and a couple of wraps with a screwdriver handle made the float drop down and open up the needle and let fuel come in. So it is clean. Like, the machine has only run maybe 5 minutes. He said he started it up when he first got it just to see, make sure it worked, and he shut it down, but he forgot to run it at a gas, which is, in my opinion, running it completely out of fuel is the best way to store an engine, especially generators, because you may not require your generator, you may not need it for quite a while. So it's best to just to run them empty. This one, you shut the fuel valve off and just let it run until it runs out of gas. You can leave the fuel in the tank. You don't have to empty the tank right away. You should use stabilizer in them, and you should exchange your fuel. I do it every 6 months in my own personal generator. I'll drain the 5 gallons out of my generator into a can. I put that in my truck, and then I put 5 fresh gallons in the generator. That way it's always got fresh fuel. And the thing starts on the first or second pull every single time. Well, that's alright. Let's get this thing fired up again. And I'm going to check the frequency. Make sure it's all tip-top for him. I'm going to give him a call, let him know it's fixed. Gotta see what's going on with my meter. Hold tight. Alright, we got it figured out. I had to load the generator down a bit, so I've got a 50 watt light bulb and a 100 watt halogen bulb running. And I pulled the plug out of the socket a little bit just so I could access the terminals easier. So we're going to look for about 60 hertz up here. So this could be a decent load for this little generator, give us an accurate reading. We're looking for 60 hertz, roughly. .5, 60.6. Should be just about right for this little guy. There we go. So the carb is good. Carb's all working fine. Float's good. It's got a little bit of fresh gas in there. I'm going to advise the customer to get himself some non-ethanol gas. Mix some stabilizer, so fuel stabilizer of his choice. I like Seafoam. It works for me. You can use Stable, red stuff. It does work as well. I find Stable over a long period of time actually gums up carburetors, so I use Seafoam myself. Was a relatively quick fix on this one. The best thing to do when you use a generator is you should fire it up and test it once in a while, put a bit of a load on it to make sure that everything stays energized the way it should. When you're done testing, before you shut the generator off, just shut your fuel valve off. Shut it off and let the generator run with its load until it runs out of gas. That way the carburetor will be empty. There will be no fuel in there to go bad. And it should be good to go for the next time. This being a brand new generator, I'm not going to get too in depth. Like, it's got a few minutes of runtime on it, so I don't need to set the valves. I don't need to pull the plug and do all that stuff. We're just going to call this one done, wrap it up, call the customer, and he can come pick it up. Thanks for joining me on this quick short one, guys. This was an easy fix. Little easy fixes like this are nice to have once in a while. They don't always have to be big in-depth projects. Until the next time, take care. Thanks for joining me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll keep making videos. Take care. The yard is filling up. Future projects to come in the shop. Just picked this one up today. 15.5 horse Briggs, 42-inch cut. It runs. It's got some steering issues. Needs a good going over, cleaning up. Obviously set the valves because nobody ever does. And that one should be relatively quick flip. That trencher I've already worked on. I have no video on it. That's a late 70s case, a JI case 120. That's quite a neat machine, that one. That's old school tech. It's got a 12 horse Kohler on it. Runs mint. It's had a good going over. The only thing that's got any wear on it are the teeth on the diggers, but they'll still function just fine. That's another flipper. What else we got out here? Oh, there's a 450 Nighthawk, 1985 450 Nighthawk under that cover. That's got to come in the shop. It's running on one cylinder. I believe it's a twin carb, twin cylinder. I think the right side carb is I think the float's stuck in it because it's not running on that cylinder, but it's got spark, so it's likely just a little bit of crud built up on the carb. We've got a little weed eater push mower over here. That one where I do have some video on that. I'm waiting for one last part so I can that I ordered, so I can put that cable on there and finish up a video. I've already shot a lot of the video on that. It's not a very long one, but I've already shot most of the content on that. Well, that's my own personal snowblower kind of hanging out under there. It's 1978 Craftsman with a Princess Auto replacement engine. And this is another flipper. This is it's an old Mastercraft. Sold at Canadian Tire. It's a 5 horse. I think it's a 24-inch cut. This one runs good at speed, but doesn't idle so well, so that'll be carb work. Get that one cleaned up. Put it on the side of the road. We're at near the end of August here, so it's going to be snowblower season soon. I think that's what I've got for projects right now. Now there's a 03 Honda Shadow Spirit under that cover. No projects. That's just going to be a clean it up and take it for a boot, make sure everything's working. Well, that's what we got lined up so far. Still working on getting some equipment here and there, lawnmowers and stuff, and let's see what else we can get going in the shop here. That'll do it for this video, guys. Thanks again for joining me. This is becoming interesting. I like doing these little videos. I'm working away anyways. Somebody else might as well be watching and supervising, make sure I'm doing it right. Till next time, guys. Take care. We'll catch you later.